MARSOC Raiders, one of the most elite maritime forces on the entire planet. Special operations guys who train more than 99% of the population will ever train their body. And at some point, they wore Invader gear clothes. Now let me clarify, they didn't wear it because they chose it or because it's the best kit out there. It actually was because of a new United States Marine Corps uniform regulation that forbade them from wearing multicam, and they had to switch to Marpet camo because they're in the Marines. Now, the Marine logistics chain did what it always does, which is nothing, really fast. So with the actual Marpet combat uniforms that are standard issues still out on shipping or getting delivered for a couple months, what are they gonna do? They're not gonna spend their own personal money on Cry Marpet uniforms, because if you know anything about Cry, you know that it's expensive, and then anything other than multicam also kind of rare. So for the couple months that they needed a replacement, they spent their money on Invader gear. Now that's not airsofters coping. That's what's gonna happen if decent gear for a good price hits the market at the right time frame for the right use case. And that's exactly where AliExpress comes in today. So today we're gonna cover all of it. With the help of my community members on Discord, I put together a list of red flags you should watch out for, brands that are actually worth buying, and what brands or price range you should pick for what type of gear you're buying. And most importantly, why the phrase of buy cheap, buy twice is a lie. Sometimes. And yes, this is foreshadowing. So Xing Shang Shong the like and subscribe button, and let's get into it. Here's the thing with AliExpress. It's not that the gear is genuinely bad. Some of it is really good. Excellent even. It's just that for every good product, you have 15 resellers, 3 knockoffs, and 1 product listing with so suspiciously cropped and censored photos that you're not even sure what you're buying when you buy it, or if you're even gonna get something when you order it. And if you don't know what you're ordering, you're gonna order the wrong thing. It's gonna take 6 weeks to ship. When it arrives, it's gonna smell like a factory floor, and it's gonna break after the second game day. And then you'll just end up buying cheap and buying twice. My best example of this is my Blue Force gear dump pouch. I bought a $12 replica of that on AliExpress, and last game day, it ripped open when it got snagged on a door handle. That's not cool. But why that actually is a kind of good thing, we're gonna talk about in just a second. But before we do that, let's cover the red flags when buying from AliExpress. Now, where do you buy stuff? In stores, obviously. And that's the first thing you want to check. Does the store sell anything else than tactical gear? Let's say you find a good plate carrier offering with a good pricing, and you check the storefront, and the store sells your plate carrier and also kids' toys and kitchen appliances. Yeah, don't buy from there. Because that's not a tactical gear store. That's a dropshipper that found this plate carrier this morning on a wholesale. You should look for stores that specialize on gear because they know stuff about gear. And stores that don't specialize on gear know absolutely nothing about gear. Don't waste your money on that. The next thing you should look at is reviews and storage. Now, low review counts isn't actually a bad thing. The placard that I have on my plate carrier right now actually had 0 reviews and only 2 purchases. But why did I take that gamble and order from them there? Well, I checked the store and it has thousands of reviews and thousands of followers, and it only sells gear. That's a telltale sign that what you're actually getting is not only what is shown, but it's also something good. What you're looking for is a combination of low reviews, new store, no other products, and photos that look stolen. 1 or 2 of those in combination might be fine. If it's all 4, close the tab, bro, log off. Now I talked about stolen photos, and that brings me right to the next point. Resellers. Most notably, this is done with Wosport products. Wosport, if you don't know, is a decent budget replica brand with slightly of multicam but still good quality products, and they do their own marketing videos. But resellers tend to buy their stuff, use their marketing videos, crop out their Wosport logo, and resell it for a higher price. That's called markup. So if the product video looks badly cropped or just formatted badly, that's not because they don't know how to film product videos, it's because it's not their product video. Keep that in mind. One more thing to add is price floors. There are price points below which quality drops off like a depressed person of a building. Okay, that was probably, I'm sorry. For pouches, don't go under 15 to 20 bucks. Because there you just get bad stitching, bad multicam, and it will rip apart after like 2 weeks maybe. For simple plate carriers like the JPC or Slickster, between 60 to 90 euros should be fine. If you want something more complicated like the SPC or ABS, maybe a CPC or FCPC, between 120 and 160 bucks is where you should aim for. Anything dramatically cheaper is not only cutting on child labor like everybody else, you're buying from China, what do you expect? But they're also cutting corners on materials, stitching, and quality control. And at that point, you're just gambling. Now, when buying gear, to simplify it, I like to split it into 3 tiers. High tier brands, mid tier brands, and low tier brands. I know with the board right here, this kind of sounds like I'm a looks maxer now, but let's actually hear me out here. Okay, I may or may not have went on a 20-minute side tangent about how Emerson gear tags work. If you want to know more about that, I have a video linked up right now. Check it out and you can see where I talk about tags and timestamps. But in an effort to not make this video an hour long, let's just go through the brands here rapid fire style. Starting off with high tier brands, I want to start this off with Emerson. They do great stuff, especially in terms of clothing. If you have long legs like I do, they do offer long lengths or sizes, which is really nice, and their pricing is really good as well. If you want more detail on what tags have what qualities or materials, again, check out the video. Next up, Pew Tactical. Pew Tactical is one of the best stores for plate carriers or pouches. They offer great quality at an even greater price. And they also shitpost about how Spiritus Systems may or may not be involved in child/slave labor. On Instagram, so props to them. And they also recently released a LV120. So I'm thinking about doing some rather bad things to my wallet when I look at this thing. And the final mention for the high tier brand would be Tactical Raiders. These guys offer great value products, especially if you want something like the Shaw Arc plate carrier or even shorts. So yeah, Tactical Raiders is also a great option. Moving on to mid-tier brands, starting this one off with Krydex. I have had some of their pants before and clothes. However, I do not like the fitment on them because again, I'm a long motherfucker. And also the material is quite thick and the collars are way too long on the combat shirts. However, their gear doesn't break and it's sturdy as hell with the multicam looking good as well. I have one of their rifle slings and one of their mag pouches for I think about 3 years now, and they have been holding up strong. Next up, Idogear. Idogear also produces great stuff. Again, the clothing is kind of weird sized, and the only difference between Krydex and Idogear would be that Idogear has some thinner material on their, I think, pants, whilst the tops are thicker, and then Krydex is vice versa. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is that Krydex and Idogear don't always produce one-to-one replicas. It's more like their own take on pouches and clothing, so keep that in mind. Next up would be the Mia SMTP store on AliExpress. The only reason why this is mid-tier is because I don't have enough experience to comfortably put it into high tier, but I have 2 of their products, the shirt and the Arc'teryx balaclava, both in multicam, and I fucking love them. Next up is Ronsontex. Now, I think the guy who recommended it would be mad that I put it into mid-tier, but I don't have any experience with them, so again, I'm not confident enough to put it into high tier. But basically what they do is custom Cry shirts or pants in a custom camo that might be a little bit more rare, and they also offer that with different products such as rifle slings. So shout out there, definitely a cool store to check out on Ali. Now, moving on to low tier brands. I just have 2 in here because they're mostly the same. If you find good reviews, it's probably okay. Starting this off with, obviously, Wosport. I mentioned them before. I don't think I need to go into more detail on them. And then next up is TactiLeopard, or Tactical Leopard Store, or whatever. The only reason why I mentioned them is because I bought my ABS from them a couple years ago. And for the price, it held up way better than I expected. Worked better than I expected. So definitely shout out there. Go check them out. Now, some honorable mentions. You might think, hey, where's Shekkin Gears? Well, Shekkin Gears is only very sparely represented on AliExpress, which is why I put them into the honorable mention. And if you're wondering what Cootac is a storefront that you can find on the internet. Just go to Cootac.com, I think. And they offer a curated list of products from Tactical Raiders and I think Sunsnow, which is some high quality gear. So basically this is a one-stop shop. You can go there, pick out a plate carrier, pouches, all of these stuff. And you can leave with an entire setup, knowing that it's good quality. But about setting up a plate carrier setup, we'll talk about that later on. Stick around. Next up, obviously, is Invader gear. I talked about them in the beginning. If it's good enough for Marsoc, it's good enough for us. And then HelikonTex and Defcon are not really budget brands per se, but they're definitely good. And some of the stuff from HelikonTex and Defcon is great value for the price, especially because, for example, HelikonTex offers more niche camos like Rhodesian Bush camo, which is something that I'm looking into. Now, before we move on to allocating your budget to certain things and what not to buy on AliExpress, I have to make a confession. I purposely left out one very well-known brand in this overview the entire time. I'm talking about TMC. Now, the astute among you might have already noticed that, hey, why do you leave out TMC if your FCPC was from TMC? Well, simply because of that reason. TMC costs around as much or more than Shekkin gear stuff, whilst being not only lesser of a quality but also looking worse because they don't use, for example, the right tone of green or coyote. So TMC, in my opinion, is just not an option if you compare it to, for example, Shekkin gears or Cootac. Okay, that's about it, covering all the brands and what tiers they're in. But why did we put them into tiers? Well, to help you choose what type of brand to buy when picking certain parts of your kit. Let's get into it. Now, one more thing before we get actually into this. Don't buy shoe wear, eye protection, and actual body armor on AliExpress. I can't believe I'm saying this, but don't do that. Your eyes aren't worth that, and your life isn't worth that. Don't be like Russian conscripts. Another thing that you shouldn't do is build an entire plate carrier setup in one go. Because you're going to end up being like, oh, what if I need that? And I don't want to wait for shipping. Oh, and if I need that. Oh, and that is also cool. You're going to spend up $200 on excess pouches that you don't need and you're just going to sit in a box. Buy the basics, go on a game day, see what you like and need, and then go from there. Okay, but what should I buy from where then? Well, for the basics, so helmet, plate carrier, and belt, I would go with mid to high tier. Because you're not going to switch out one of these things every 4 months, unless you're me. I do that. But I have a spending addiction, and this is kind of my whole thing on here. So that way you have stuff that will last longer and also looks better, and you're not going to be like, I wish I would have bought stuff that actually looks like real multicam and not like a off-color thing that never saw, the real multicam pattern when designing it. For pouches, you can go low to mid tier. And here comes the example with my dump pouch. My dump pouch ripped, but it was a low tier brand. I didn't spend that much money on it. I now know if I like the BFG dump pouch. Spoiler, I don't. And now I can buy a high quality replica of a different dump pouch that I like more. I didn't spend that much money, it broke, I replace it. Easy. One more reason why you shouldn't cheap out on certain things is my friend's rifle sling. He has a replica Pharaoh Slingster sling from AliExpress for like $13, I believe, and last game day it actually broke. He can't tighten it down anymore. My Krydex sling, on the other hand, which costs like slightly more, it was a mid-tier purchase, not a low-tier purchase, and it's been holding up for 3 years now. So, for stuff that actually needs to carry weight or is like really important, don't cheap out. But if you just want to try out a pouch or try out a setup, go with low tier first. Don't spend your money on something that you might not end up liking. So, to sum all of this up, is buy cheap, buy twice a lie? It depends. But what I want you to understand is that AliExpress is not the enemy. The enemy is buying blind. Know your brands, know your prices, and know where to spend your money. And you can genuinely build a solid kit for a fraction of what real steel kit would cost. Of course, the entire video was fine and now there's a plane flying overhead. Anyways, if you like this video and you want to know more about my kit, check out the video right here, or whatever YouTube recommends on the left side. And until we see each other next time, LARP.
Oh, that man. There you go.